Welcome to Craig's Gun Channel Random Shots, the show where we kind of just talk about anything and everything, generally Second Amendment related, but not always. Sometimes, you know, we can deviate, and we frequently will, and do. We already have, so we'll go ahead and get started. I guess I'll go ahead and start. We have just recently announced the ATF, or AFT, yeah. They have came out and announced their pistol brace ruling, and it's a mess. It's not a shock, not a surprise. I think this is kind of what everyone was expecting, quite honestly. They did one good thing. They did away with the little checklist where you had to score your gun to decide, okay, are you allowed to have a brace or not? And they just basically came out and said, you're not allowed to have a brace.
SBRs in general,
yeah,
no braces.
Yeah, no braces. There's still criteria, but it's all built into just the language. So there again, generally speaking, you're just not allowed to have them. So 10 to 40 million of these things are out there. Who knows what that's going to do? Basically, if you have one, you either have to destroy it. You can send your firearm into the ATF, you know, if you just want to get rid of it. Or somehow you just have to basically make the brace not there. Or you can register it as an SBR. Now, they are waiving the registration tax.
Whoa. All right. So what does that mean? So is this one of their convoluted ways of getting you on a list? So to register the SBR means you can keep it, or you still have to get rid of it?
Well,
the SBR brace, I mean.
If you register it, you're allowed to keep the brace. But to your point, it's on a list. Now, for anyone who's not familiar with, once you file something with it's an NFA item at that point, same as silencers and machine guns, and now there's short-barreled rifles, and now braces, which the ATF has for several years now said are perfectly fine and legal. Well, now you have to register them. So you have to submit paperwork, submit fingerprints, fill out this whole questionnaire. You're supposed to give a purpose as to why do you need this item. To be fair, most people end up putting something on there that says something like all legal purposes, you know, to just make it a generic thing.
Generic, yep.
But here comes the problem. Okay, now you're on a gun registry with that particular firearm. It's serial numbered. And it's additionally serial numbered. So not only do you have to fill out paperwork, you'll have to get another serial number attached to the firearm, designating it as specific to the NFA. You can't cross state lines without getting permission and approval. So you'll have to, anytime, say you want to take your braced pistol across state lines, there's a form you have to fill out. Basically, you have to ask permission.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess.
I'm asking for a friend.
Okay.
My friend may or may not have one of these SBR pistol braces. Do they have a serial number on them already, the braces? Were the manufacturers required to put serial numbers on the braces that were sold individually?
No, they do not.
So how's that going to work?
That's a good question.
But that's what they're requiring, right? Is that they want the gun and the brace to have a serial number so they can register it as this brace. This person paid the tax in order to have this brace with this gun. If this brace shows up on another gun, then you're a felon, right?
To be honest, I'm not positive with that. Okay. I'd have to read. There's several hundred pages.
I may be reading something into it, but
so I'm not. That's a good question, actually. I'll have to do some research into that. Now, the reality is, it's intended so that the brace would be on the firearm because it's a pistol with an attached stabilizer brace.
So all the 40 million or however million you said they want those to be thrown in the garbage and and have the manufacturer make these pistol braces already attached to the guns.
Yep.
As part of the serial numbered gun, which now is in the classification as your suppressors and your machine guns, and you need to get that federal stamp and wait for a year in order to be able to purchase something and have fingerprints all over the government.
No, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that because Currently, the wait time for most of these things to register it with through the ATF for the NFA, it's 2 months to a year turnaround time, depending on what it is. Usually SBR is a little bit quicker than like silencers are. I don't know why, it's just all the same paperwork. But it can take a while. And that's with the current normal volume, which is just silencers for the most part. And, you know, true short-barreled rifles. There is no way that currently the ATF will be able to process 10 to 40 million applications. So if everyone decides, you know, we'll come up with a number in the middle, we'll say 25 million. If 25 million, and it's not necessarily people could have more than one, so we'll just say if 25 million firearms are all submitted at once, because you're supposed to have all this done in 120 days. They've, you know,
so this is already has a date,
yes.
an end date on it.
Yes, it's
so
now.
My
it's done
friend,
deal.
if he does or does not have a pistol brace, needs to comply within 4 months.
Yes, correct.
And what is the penalty that they're telling you? What is it? Is it a misdemeanor? Is it a level 5 felony?
No, you go to prison.
Is that right?
And fines up to $100,000.
We got classifies for our first.
You are fake news.
Yeah.
That is bull crap.
Yeah, yes.
All right, so I have some more questions, Craig, and
okay.
I'm fuzzy on this. Does this bureaucratic lawmaking ATF bureaucracy, is there any recourse for us? Can this be stopped by the Supreme Court? Can states have constitutional amendments put in that strictly forbid any kind of this, an infringement like this on the Second Amendment for residents of certain states? Is there anything that we should be pushing for?
Well, I would recommend everyone contact your congressman, contact your senator. At your state level, contact your representatives as well. Some states have already passed legislation to allow silencers, things like that are manufactured within the state to not be under the purview of the NFA. Because the whole NFA, let's put it out there at first, the NFA, the National Firearms Act, is unconstitutional. It's an infringement on our rights. It's an infringement against the Second Amendment. So we'll just put that out there. It's never actually been truly pushed to the Supreme Court as far as the entire thing. Individual cases here and there go, but usually what ends up happening is they throw so many charges at stuff that people end up pleading out. So it's never went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Lately, the Supreme Court has been kind of spanking the ATF quite a bit. The bump stocks.
Yep.
The receiver rules and stuff. The courts have been kind of coming down on that. And so, is there any recourse? Well, I'm going to say it depends, because the reality is these are rules. These aren't laws, and they're rules that are propagated by the agency that has been set aside to uphold the law. So these are opinions. So is there anything you can do? Well, you can not comply, and you'll probably, if they catch people, they'll be going to court, there'll be legal fees, things like that. They'll
probably try to make a couple of high-profile
yes.
goats out of this,
yes.
like scapegoats.
Yep.
I'm torn. I think that what you said earlier about flood them with 60 million applications for processing pistol braces for SBRs, and there's no way they can do it. But I believe that with our swampy government, they would see that as an opportunity to expand government. Hey, we're getting flooded here. We can't do what we promised to do to ban these pistol braces. Let's take those 87,000 IRS agents that we funded and we're trying to defund now. Let's take that money over to the ATF so they can perform that. So I don't necessarily like that tactic, although I see how it would be effective in some respects. But maybe I think I'm fully in the camp of do not comply. This is crap.
I think I am too. As far as what I think, that's what I think the general people are going to do. Let's be honest. We're on a gun channel.
Yeah.
So we have to comply because it's not like
Right.
we're on lists.
Yeah.
So I'm very irritated about this because, for one thing, these braces are not cheap. I mean, I've got video out there. There's already evidence that I have this stuff. I mean, I've got videos out there, the AKV, things like that. Great gun, by the way. I mean, lots of fun. But now I'm stuck. I either have to register it, and okay, so they waived the tax, but it's still on a registration then. It's all the hassle and the paperwork, and that's assuming that they can pass all this stuff in 100, get all this paperwork done in 120 days, which I don't think is going to happen. So I have no idea what kind of repercussions are going to come from that, and I don't want to be part of all that anyway. So essentially what I'm going to have to end up doing is I'm going to take the brace off the AKV and destroy it. Yeah. Which basically means I'm having to throw away a couple $100 in hardware. And is the government going to pay me for that?
With the chance, Craig, of the same thing happening with the bump stocks, where it goes all the way, we go a couple months into it being illegal, and then it gets pushed back by the Supreme Court, or it gets defunded, or one of these things where now that you've destroyed it, it's legal again, and you just followed the rules, and now you're going to pay the price for it.
Right. So. That's exactly right. So I follow the rules, I destroy my brace, and a year from now it finally gets, because it's going to be challenged. There's going to be class action things like GOA, there's several organizations already getting stuff in motion, and ultimately I think it's going to be found unconstitutional, so I'll be allowed to have it again. But I can't keep it during that time, because I run the risk of going to big boy jail. So there's nothing you can do. I mean, what would be great is if, you could send them to the ATF with a provision that they have to keep it, and then when it's found unconstitutional, they have to send it back.
That would be trust in the government, and I have absolutely zero trust in the government.
Right, and that wasn't one of the options anyway.
Mm-hmm. I think we can sum this up as saying this is yet another step in turning the heat up on the pot of water with your frog in it. I mean, they're slowly cooking us, and we need to choose a hill to die on and stand up and call our congressmen and do everything peacefully that we can to tell them that this is not the will of the people. They serve us, not the other way around. As far as I can tell, everything I've read, and you're way more versed in this than I am, but what makes a pistol brace this ugly boogeyman that is it's insane how they pick something, even the bump stock. I guess the bump stock, how it increases your your fire rate by a little bit. But
it has nothing to do with that. At the end of the day, it's something that they can identify, and they can't come out and directly just say, turn them in. Feinstein's approach. Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in. That's what she said she would do if she could. They can't do that, so they're going to do all these end runs to make it so difficult to own any of this
basically
stuff.
Wear us down.
To wear us
down until we are willing to accept their rules. And they think you're stupid. They think that you cannot make your own decisions. So I mean, it's
absolutely.
You're gonna have to think about this for yourself. But I encourage you to do everything you can in the Republican. The Republican, what's it called? We're a republic, a democratic republic. Do everything in the democratic republic process, like Craig said. Contact your congressman, senator. Contact Ohio law. See if there's something we can get some of these 2A backing state legislators to start doing some sort of paperwork to block it at a state level. We've seen that in other things. I mean, if it's not in the Constitution, I mean, it's fallible.
Yep.
It's fallible. We just need people to stand up and fight. So
Yep, I would agree with that. The main reason I wanted to bring it up is to make sure people are aware, because the last thing you would want to have happen is for, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Joe Public, you know, they 2 years ago they went to a gun store, they thought that this, you know, braced pistol just looked cool, they bought it, stuck it in the closet, you know, it's for home defense, whatever, forgot about it, and then 8 months from now they get it out and they go, oh yeah, let's go shooting, and they go to the range and get arrested.
And there's some undercover spook there that's trying just to find that person that's, that forgot to do it. So,
and you know, to play devil's advocate, if criminals were using these all the time, like if this was, you know, every violent firearmed act out there is being done with the braced pistol, I could almost buy it as, well, okay, that makes sense. They're not. Criminals are not using these. There's been just 1 or 2 instances where these have shown up in crime scenes.
It's a boogeyman that
it's a boogeyman, yep.
Uneducated ass clowns came up with to put all their effort into attacking the gun rights.
Yep, absolutely.
It's sad. It's sad. All right, what else you got?
Next one I wanted to come up with. In our last episode, we talked a little bit about the Illinois legislature and in their, you know, their infinite process of how they're doing things. They basically used the legal process and they subverted it to pass some gun legislation quickly. And there was a part of a legislation that was in the Senate, and it was well, actually, let me pull up some details here.
This was the one with the slide. They started it out with slide safety and metro parks and. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, there was. Let's see. It was Illinois Senate passed Senate Bill 2226, which the actual description of that is the amusement ride safety, and it was supposed to be about when is a slide an amusement attraction as opposed to like a piece of playground equipment. And it had went through the whole legislative process, which takes some time. So they were at the final stage of being able to then vote that law. And like I said before, I'm pretty sure they had just kind of shelved this law to keep it in, you know, in case an opportunity came along. And so what they did is they stripped out all of the verbiage of the law and they replaced it with a whole bunch of gun control legislation, banning AR-15s, but there's a whole huge list of firearms that are banned. High-capacity magazines, just, you know, basically their entire wish list. They just stuck it in there. So, and we, you know, made the comment, it's like, you know, well, okay, they passed it, and they're going to send it to the House, and you know, it'll probably pass. Well, before we could even get our video posted, lo and behold, the House of Representatives, they passed House Bill 5471, the Insurance Code for Public Adjusters. So these are people that go out and, you know, when there's an insurance claim, you know, they review it and evaluate it and stuff like that. And there's some legislation around that to make sure you're doing a good job. But the important thing is, well, that law had already went through the entire process. It was waiting for the final vote. So as part of the actual concurrence process, they basically took all the language for their great gun control wish list. They took all the language out of the insurance code public adjusters, and they replaced it with all the gun control legislation. It went onto the floor for a final vote. Lo and behold, it passed. And then they immediately went to the governor, and it was signed into law, effective January 10th.
Miss Lori, what's her name? Lori Lightfoot? Admiral, is that who the governor is?
Well, she's the mayor.
Mayor. She's mayor. Okay.
Yeah, no, the governor is Governor Pritzker.
Okay.
We'll have a separate conversation about that at some point.
No, hey, I can sum this whole thing up, this Chicago, Illinois, the whole state. If you are watching this video, get out. There is nothing good that is going to come from this. Chicago already has a gang violence, death, homicide rate that beat Baghdad in the middle of the Iraqi war. So if you haven't got out yet and you're still breathing and you don't have bullet holes riddled through you, Swiss cheese, get the heck out of that state. It's it's almost too late. So we called it. You called it. You said this is a sure thing to go through, and before we even posted the video,
Yep. Well, even I was kind of stunned how fast that they worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, you get these politicians, it takes them, 2 years to discuss ride safety, but boy, they can pass gun legislation in 3 days.
Wow.
So it went from January 6th, where they replaced the language in the slide bill, to January 10th, where they replaced the language in the insurance adjusters bill. In the concurrence process, this is where they mesh them all together,
quick.
And it's all voted and passed. And just so you know, let's see, the list of weapons banned with the new bill include semi-automatic rifles that have the capacity to accept a detachable magazine. Okay, that'd be all of them. If the firearm has one or more pistol grip, thumb hole stock, any feature functioning as a protruding grip that can be held by a non-trigger hand, I guess that's the brace that goes up. Folding, telescoping, thumb hole or detachable stock, flash suppressor, grenade launcher, a shroud that attaches to the barrel to allow someone to hold it with their non-trigger hand without being burned.
These idiots have no idea what they're talking about.
No.
They have no idea what they're talking about.
And it just goes on and on and on, this list. And then they have the actual list, just to make sure that there's no confusion. There's a whole list here. I don't know how many are on here. There's 100.
Smokes.
But you've got
specifics.
These are specific firearms banned by name. So you've got basically all the AK platform. You got the AK, AK-47, AK-74, AKM, AKS, SA-85, SA-93. Just basically any name that they go by. All the AR platform stuff, and then of course, to make sure there's no confusion, they go into specifics, details, to help us out. You got the Bushmaster ACR, the Carbon 15,
this
the
is
MOE
all
series.
listed in the actual legislation.
This is all listed in the actual legislation. The Olympic arms, precision firearms, all this kind of stuff. It's just insane. And there's just no reason for it, except there again, the anti-gunners were able to get their little victory. And honestly, I don't know why anyone lives in Illinois.
Well,
the taxes are high. The crime is horrible, at least in the cities. I mean, there's some parts of Illinois that's not bad.
You keep electing these politicians that legislate based on emotion.
Yes.
Somebody gets shot up, tragically, and all of a sudden you have all this push for, we got to do something.
Yep.
We got to do something.
If it can only save one life.
Yep.
And yet, people that own these firearms, they save lives all the time by having them.
Yep.
Now,
But
you don't ever hear about that.
But they like to say they follow science, but obviously that kind of data doesn't resonate with them. So.
Yep. Okay, so what do you got?
All right, our political brief. I thought I'd bring to the table how interesting and kind of surprising this whole turn on old Joe, Dementia Joe, the Democrats, and how the media, some of the media personalities that have been propping Joe up for, 2.5 years, almost 2.5 years now, are now starting to turn on old Joe with this document thing. So I can't figure out yet, Craig, if this is like a screen, here, look over here. See, we're going after Biden, but there's something else going on that they're really trying to hide.
See, I don't think so. I think, honestly, 2 years have passed. They were able to skate by the midterms and not get burned as bad as they should have. Honestly, I think people keep asking Biden, are you going to run again? Are you going to run again? And I'll just go ahead and say it. Anyone who thinks that man is in control of his faculties.
So you think that was a trigger?
I think
that when
they want him out.
Yeah, they're like, no, Joe, don't do it. No, Joe, if you do it, we're gonna start propping this thing up for you.
Yeah, I think they're using this as their mechanism to prevent him from running again. And the hypocrisy of it all, though, is just staggering. I mean, Merrick Garland knew that these documents existed and they were found
Well, they're just
when he announced the special review process for Trump.
100%. So they are totally trying to make it seem like they went down the path per the law for Biden, and that Trump was this stiff branch in the breeze that wasn't cooperating, which is not the case.
Mm-hmm.
What did I see today? Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Trump has a couple hundred or so documents that he did not declassify, which he had the capability of declassifying, behind a safe door,
Right.
with Secret Service guarding the house.
Mar-a-Lago is a compound with Secret Service protection.
In the other case with Sleepy Joe, they found it in a dingy old garage.
Some of them.
In a box on the floor that had leaked water. Just like completely no chain of command. A homeless guy could run in there and take a nap, and just anybody could go in there, right?
Yep.
Maybe that's the key. Maybe you just throw it out in your garage and nobody expects it to be there. But I'm not buying it, Craig. I'm not buying this Merrick Garland flash of constitutionalism, you know.
Oh, I'm not either. I mean, I don't think that this is going to result in. For one thing, they're not going to back down on Trump. They're not going to go after Biden the same way. But this will allow them to not have to have him as their running person.
Yeah.
So, they'll just, it's
And
too much
claim
controversy.
some sort of
it's
even playing field type thing.
it's like, it'd just be better maybe if he doesn't run.
You're not going to recover from this, Joe.
So, I mean, the whole thing stinks. It just shows the total hypocrisy of the left. It shows the partisanship of our attorney general and the whole justice system.
Who do they want, Craig?
For the life of me, I don't know.
Do they want Buttigieg?
Oh, geez.
He's done a great job with the airlines and transportation. My goodness.
It's almost like these people are the idiot fairies. No matter what they touch, it just turns to idiocracy.
Yes.
I mean, you can't really make this stuff up. I mean, how are you so consistently so bad at everything?
Because the TV told me so.
Honestly, it's fake news. It's fake.
It's true. All right, that's all I got for that one. I thought we had to mention that with kind of where this is going. It looks bad for old Joe. So
yeah, we'll have to definitely keep tabs on it and kind of see how it plays out. This will be something we'll probably be revisiting, if for no other reason to just point out the further hypocrisy of it.
But I'd like to point out, if any of you guys think that anybody's going to go away anybody in the Democrat Party is going to go away in striped suit and get behind bars,
Never happened.
Move on, enjoy your life. Don't hold out for that. Don't hold your breath, certainly. So
yeah, don't allow it to ruin the enjoyment that you have in your normal day-to-day life.
It's not going to happen. The hierarchy, we're just common people. They can do what they want. So
yep. So what else you got?
All right, what else we got? Tell you what, in follow-up to our prepper list from last week, I saw quite a few of you have watched that video, and I hope it had some good information in there. I wanted to highlight one of the items that me and Craig had talked about during that list, and it had to do with a light. This is the headlamp that I've been using almost a year now. Got it off of Amazon, and they actually it's good timing, and I'd like to highlight this. I'll tell you some of the features, but they're running a special on it right now for $19.99 for a 2-pack.
Oh, okay.
So Craig's going to put the link in the show notes below if you're interested. I think it's 36% off its normal price, which already with probably 9-10 months of use, frequent use, it has served me well. I haven't found anything I don't like about it yet, or any flaws in the function. It's called the Kurtzod. It's kind of a weird manufacturer. I've never heard of Kurtzod before, Craig. I'm sure it's Chinese junk merchandise, but for that price,
Same as the iPhone, you mean?
That's right, same as the iPhone. But Curtsod, C-U-R-T-S-O-D. Like I said, the link's going to be below. 1200 lumens. Now this kind of goes into your whole thing with...
It's a little bright.
It's bright and might have a shorter battery life because of it. This is a rechargeable by USB, which is kind of cool. So this is one of these ones that I would classify not so much as a survival cache item, could be, but something you utilize around the house that actually has utility for working outside in the night, or electric goes out and you need to work your way through the house to get things in order. 1200 lumens. It has 12 different modes of brightness. I'm not going to shine it right in your eyes, but I'm going to run down through them here. It's got, whoops, excuse me. So that's their super bright, a little bit medium, low. That's coming out the side to him now, so that actually is shooting out sides instead of straight on.
Oh, so you get good peripheral light. Okay.
So then we got another low setting in the center. We got red light.
Nice.
We got flashing red light. And then my favorite, it has a motion sensor button on it, so you can just hit that button. Let's say you're out camping, you want to sleep, you're tired, and you're the only one out there. You want to make sure that Yogi Bear doesn't steal your picnic basket.
Okay.
You stick that on maybe in the perimeters where your food is, or in your tent. If anything moves within that radius of that whole front, it pops it off and gives you some alert. Maybe scares away Yogi. But I thought that was pretty cool. And then something that's important to me, when I have that on my head, if I'm looking straight ahead, I don't want my light going like this. Mm-hmm. It has 3 settings of down.
Oh, okay.
If I'm working on my car, I want to have my head looking straight forward, and that light's going down on what I'm working on. So.
And when you're walking, you want to see what's right in front of you.
That's right.
Not 30 feet down.
That's right. Yeah.
30 feet down the path won't help you for the 5-foot hole that's right in front of you.
Yeah. We're not being paid for this, and this is not an endorsement. This is I'm going to call it a find. A way to get a decent product at a decent price that I think could provide you utility in your life. So, $19.99 for a 2-pack, Amazon, $10 a pop. It's a pretty cool little unit.
Okay, and well, the nice thing, we're not product snobs here, even though we get accused of it. But
won't mention any names.
We won't mention any names. But
love you.
It doesn't have to be expensive to be usable. Now, would this maybe hold up? Would you want to be a door kicker in Iraq with this?
No.
No. But
it actually has a 1 door kicked per unit ratio. So
yeah, things like this, just immensely valuable. I guess I just go back. I grew up in the generation where I had to suffer the trauma of holding the flashlight for Dad when he was working on stuff. And of course the old infamous, hold the light so I can see, not so you can see.
Maybe that's why kids are so stupid these days.
That could very well be.
They don't have to hold the flashlight for Dad anymore.
But if Dads would have had these, because now you can hold the light and the light goes exactly where you're looking. I mean, that's the beauty of head-mounted lights. Now, personally, I think that is a little bright, but for actual working on stuff, I guess I envision like working on a car at night. That'd be like golden.
Now, given my use times over the last 9-10 months of having this unit, my use times are 15 minutes or less every time I've used it. So I have not even challenged the battery life of a 1 charge. How long am I getting out of it? I can't even tell you what they tell you on there, but I would imagine you'd still have an hour or 2 of light on a charge. That's a guess. Like I said, it's for utility around the house. It's not, like I said, it's not going to be something I recommend to put in your survival cache and expect it to save your life. It might keep you alive for a week or so, but.
Yep. And there again, that's an affordable price, and it's something that could work.
That's what I had on that. Cool. Let's see. Next, did you have another one, or you want me to fly right into the 16?
Let's go ahead and do let's do the list of 16.
So, keeping in the same motion as what we actually started with last week, I'd like to have a list like we talked about. This is going to be ranges from top 5 to top 10 to we may even sneak into a top 20 once in a while. So I'm going to try to keep it quick around the top 10 normally. So, all right, here we go. So this list is 16 inconvenient truths about SHTF. Craig, what's SHTF?
Well, it's when something bad hits the fan.
The proverbial poo-poo hits the oscillator. All right, so 16 things that maybe get glossed over, and that if you are a serious self-reliant prepper, you need to actually come to grips with before it's smacking you in the face and it's happening. All right, so number 1, those with chronic medical problems will be the first to die.
That's
Sadly, when you sit and think about it, it's
that's
like,
an
yeah,
unfortunate
that's true,
reality.
right?
I mean, that's just something that you need to probably just kind of reconcile yourself with. I mean, you don't dwell on it, but that's kind of a reality.
Yep. But is it something nobody wants to think about it, so you're going to avoid thinking about it? These are meant to just smack you in the face and say, that's probably right. In an SHTF situation, medicines will run out quickly.
That leads to that kind of feeds the first one. Medicines.
I could just go down to CVS, and they're always going to be there.
Yeah. Well, we have supply chain issues now. Sometimes you go. Well, actually, just a couple weeks ago, I was just looking for some chest congestion stuff.
I heard about this.
And they were
Empty
gone.
shelves.
I mean, yeah, they were because.
Just like the normal,
just the normal
Mucinex and stuff like that.
Yep, it was all gone because there was just this cold chest thing that that I think they're calling it like the 3-month cough or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just the supply chain can't keep up. Now, imagine that when the trucks bring in the new stuff, they're not there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Well, number 1, if the chaos is happening in, let's say, urban areas, truckers aren't going to risk their life to bring supplies in there.
Nope.
And that is if they even make it to the outskirts. If they have the intention of going in town, they're going to get hijacked, and it's gonna be a black market thing where the toughest thug owns the pharmaceuticals, and then that'll be the last time shipments come in that area.
Yep.
Here's another good one. Number 3. Many of the elderly will die. Kind of goes with pre-existing condition, that sort of thing, but it's not fun to think about grandma dying.
No, and these are things. This is actually a good list because it's going to. You need to think of this stuff because it needs to be part of your planning.
Yeah.
And it's part of the reality of if things get bad, they're going to get bad.
Taking care of our elderly parents and grandparents now is tough as it is in a smooth, semi-smooth society, economically stable situation. Just think about when everything that they need is depending on your ability to take care of them and yourself and whoever else. It's just it's gonna be hard.
Yep.
All right, number 4. This is kind of a downer. This whole segment's kind of a downer.
Yeah, so far.
Here's a good one. This will bring you all up. Human waste is toxic. Our modern
that can't be the case.
That's what it says. I read it on the internet.
Okay.
Modern sewage systems. Think about that. If the shit hits the fan, sewer guys aren't going to work.
Yep.
You're not churning that out. You start backing up.
And it actually happens pretty quick. I was several years ago. I worked at it was just an office building, but all of the plumbing it wasn't gravity fed. It was power flush, and the power went out. And okay, this was an office building. There was like 500 people worked in it.
How long did that take?
The power was out all day. And for whatever reason at the time, this company, you didn't go home. They found stuff for you to do, in the dark. It was kind of weird. But within an hour, the bathrooms were, I'll just put unpleasant. I'll just leave it at that.
I can't even imagine. That's another reason that, in my opinion, rural living is I mean, we're going to have backups in the rural also. And the sewer, an actual septic system is going to take longer. With one household of a family of 4 is going to take a while to fail.
Yep.
It's going to give you that time, but you're telling me within an 8-hour day.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even a full day. It was
downtown urban setting.
Yep, it was just a couple hours, and
it
was bad.
So think about that as something to think about. Human waste is toxic. We have confirmed that. Here's number 5, the second die-off, meaning the plague. So I'm seeing that as a spin-off of human waste is toxic. You're going to get all kinds of sicknesses from that unclean, unsanitary.
There's that, and some of these actually kind of build off on the other ones because sanitation's going to go, so disease is going to run rampant. You're not going to have the medicines to take care of any of that stuff, even common antibiotics, things like that. I mean, way back in the Stone Age, okay, not really that long ago, people routinely died from just infections. You get a bad cut, and you get an infection, you die.
That's right.
And these days, it's nothing. You just go, get an antibiotic or,
You either die from the infection or you die from the 15 leeches they have sucking on you. Taking all your blood.
Sometimes the treatment was,
was the killer.
Goodness. What's next?
All right, next one is many babies will die during birth.
Oh.
I haven't thought of that one.
This is a depressing list.
It is a depressing list. I'm going to go by that one. I don't want to think about that one.
Man.
Wood for fires won't last long. That's interesting.
Well, think about it. I mean, unless you live in rural, I mean, even in central Ohio, people that live in the country, there's not really a lot of trees around. You have these little sections where there's wooded areas, but when that becomes the primary fuel source and people are using that to heat and cook, it's not going to last very long.
It's when you start peeling casing and base off your walls and start. See all these houses in Bexley and Upper Arlington and all those places that have no trim. Then
the bigger the house, the longer you have heat.
Oh, not laughing at you, laughing with you. Toilet paper will run out. I think that's hyperbole.
Now, okay, I'm just going to go out and limb here. I think every prepper list is going to have something about toilet paper on it.
Doesn't everybody own one of those little French things that sprays water up your crack?
I don't.
I don't either. All right, that's interesting. Many people are too weak to survive. That's kind of redundant.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put a twist on this.
Okay.
They don't make men anymore. Have you gone downtown like Columbus and looked around at the males?
What, you don't like the manly bun and carrying their Starbucks coffee?
Yeah, their shortness of testosterone. I see those people having, what do they call it? They need their safe space, so they have those mental breakdowns.
Their cry room.
If they have just the very tip of SHTF, I see these soy boys just crying like first grade girls in the corner, and so yeah, that's check.
Yep.
All right, next one. Being out of shape makes it harder to survive. This one hits me right in the gonads. I can't tell you how many times, Craig, in the last 2 months that I've said, I got to get off my butt, do something with fitness, because I get tired fast. Maybe it's age, but
I'm right there with you. The reality is, as we get older, it's harder to stay in shape. And I remember
less enticing.
Yeah, I remember in the good old days, I was just in good shape just because I existed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the normal stuff you do in day to day just kept you kind of fit. But now I'm right with you, and I worry about that quite a bit.
Maybe we should do something about it.
I think we should.
Yep. We'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah, we won't film that, but
we'll probably get the most interaction if we film us jogging or.
Oh yeah.
All right, gasoline doesn't store well. That's an inconvenient truth of SHTF.
And how many people do you know that they store just copious amounts of gasoline as part of their prep strategy.
What's copious?
Several hundred gallons.
Oh, no. I do rotate 30 gallons.
Yeah, well, I rotate
on a monthly schedule. Like month one, my 5 gallon of month one will go in my lawnmower or my truck, and then I'll go fill that one with fresh gas, and then I'll go to February can 2. And if I don't use it through that month, it goes in my tank in the truck. Just so I always have 30 gallons of extra.
I'm similar, but mine's 20.
Yeah.
I've got 4 jerry cans, the 5
Yep.
gallon jerry cans. Same thing. Just rotate them through. I'll empty one out into smaller gas containers. Those jerry cans are great for storing 5 gallons. They're heavy.
Yeah.
You don't want to try to fill your mower up with one.
No.
But same type of thing. But you go much longer than that, your gas starts to go bad.
So yeah, even if you put stable in it, it's still has a life. And if the proverbial S hits the fan, gas stations will be ransacked within the first couple of days and be rendered useless.
Yep.
So next one, not enough water filters. I don't want to beat that one to death. I don't know if that's a inconvenient truth, but if
Well,
you have
I would
something to say.
I would say in general that's going to be true because they're smaller, portable. People, should have them, but a whole lot of people that should have them don't.
Right.
So yeah, water's going to be a problem.
Gardens that aren't big enough. So I may fall into this. I'm starting to crawl out of this. Let's put it that way. So we just started gardening. You know this. We just started gardening a couple years ago and trying to build every year on what we produce. And it feels good to have a bounty and have all kinds of. I canned 20 cans of green beans and made spaghetti sauce. Blah 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 blah. And you have a nice bounty in your pantry. However, if you just ate that, I would have been through my bounty within 3 weeks. I would have had no food. If that's all I ate, you know what I mean?
Yep.
The amount of food that we produce is so even at the scale that me and you do gardening is 1 or 2% of what we consume in a year.
Oh, easily, and that's most people that do gardens, and I'm going to put us in that same category. We're the same way. We're trying to keep expanding, what we've got planted. But to your point, nowhere near what you would actually need. You actually need several acres.
That's right.
You're farming at that point.
Yep.
You're not gardening. And most people, they don't understand that.
And man cannot live alone on garden veggies. You got to have some
This
protein
man
in there.
can't, but
You got to have something else with it too.
Yep.
So that's a good one. I like that. I think that'll come to a lot of people's realization very quickly.
Yep.
Game will run out, meaning wild game.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Same time, we'll be burning the woods down,
Right.
trying to stay warm. And there's a lot of deer. I mean, you do driving around and you'll see them all over the place. But when they suddenly become not just the occasional once a year, let's try to get one, but you have to go out. That's your primary now protein source. It's going to be amazing how fast that dries up.
Right. You know what I've thought about often too is if in this scenario, how hard it's going to be to protect flocks of cows,
Yeah.
sheep that are grazing out in these
Are they flocks of cows? Is that what we're calling them now?
murders, isn't it? Isn't it called a murder?
Cows are herds. Crows are
No,
murders.
I mean, these idiots. If you get hungry enough,
I know.
I can't tell you what I would do if my family was starving.
You would do the same thing anyone else
Yes.
would. You would do what you need to do
Yes.
to feed you and your family.
So
Yep.
that's something to think about right there. Excuse me. Some people will turn to cannibalism.
That would be another example of, as you say, fake news.
Fake news.
I don't know about that one. I hear about stuff like that, but
Mostly in Hollywood.
yeah, I don't know. I would never be able to. I would never be able to do that. What
You
would
don't
you?
think you could get hungry enough?
I don't.
The deer shot. All the cows and sheep in the area have been shot, killed. Squirrels are done.
I don't.
You got Fat Bob over here that's been eating well during the shit hits a fan.
You didn't mention Bob. I don't know. I would struggle with that, but I don't doubt that wouldn't occur.
Our favorite show, Alone. How many of those guys, after they've been in there for 80, 90 days, that are starting to go cuckoo? Yeah. Wouldn't care if you didn't tell them, you know, that they had a slice of Bob's rear end on the grill right there.
Well, that's
Would
true.
They eat that? And
I guess it only the food gatherer would need to know. The other people.
It's a need-to-know basis.
This is a is a rough list.
Yeah, it is. Got to get rid of the trash.
Yeah, well, yeah, that goes in the whole sanitation thing, and the trash. People don't.
It's a carrier of all them diseases.
It's a carrier of all those diseases. I mean, think about it. You have when people. I'm just going to not to be gross, but you have a bad mess. You know, you have a toddler with a blowout or something. Where's that go? It goes in the trash. And now, yeah, trash is nasty stuff, really.
It's not contained. All right, that is it. What do you think of the list? I don't think this is a all-inclusive list, but these lists are fun to talk about. You know,
they are, and this one it's eye-opening because this brings up it's the whole other side that people never think about, the uncomfortable side.
Yep.
But it's important because some of this stuff you need to have a plan. And you have to plan for the stuff that you don't want to think about.
Right.
But there are certain things in life that you just need to be aware that you need to plan for it.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I liked the last list better.
You did you? All right. Okay. I'll try to do better next time.
And I just wanted to put out another item that I saw, kind of an announcement that kind of caught my eye. But it's not really, I don't have any detail on it. All I've heard is that High Point is going to be making a big announcement at SHOT Show for 2023. And so, you know, that's starting, you know, well, pretty much by the time we air, it will be on. And I'm assuming, I'm not positive, I'm assuming that maybe there's going to be an update on their YC9. They've only been promising this pistol for 2-3 years now. So finally, you know, a High Point that is kind of like a modern, you know, pistol.
That's what I've been waiting for, Craig.
That's what, yeah.
Something that is in today's class.
Yep, and so the YC9, if they deliver everything on it that they've said, it will be brought up to what I would call current modern capacity, still a little bit less, but
so they're going to move from 8 to 9.
Actually, I believe it will be 12.
You're getting there.
So yeah,
You're getting there.
It's getting there.
I can't rip on that as much as the 8s. So,
and you know, they have a bottom, you know, a front Picatinny rail on the bottom.
Nice.
A provision for mounting red dots on top.
Really.
Threaded barrel. So. You know, they've resculpted it. So the YC9, the preliminary pictures and samples that they've released annually now for the past couple years that it's coming soon.
So they're controlled leaks. This is coming straight from High Point.
Yeah, it's coming straight from High Point.
I'm kind of actually, you know what? I got to give High Point some props here. I've been pretty rough on them, slinging mud, but. I'm starting to become a High Point fan as much as I possibly can. If they do actually put a mounting, what is that called? The plate that you pull out so you can put a red dot.
Well, there's just different. You know, Glock has the MOS plate.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I was looking for.
You know,
so they have something similar to that.
It's going to be something similar to that, where they'll make different adapters that can replace the rear sight to you can put different red dots on.
That's impressive.
So
I mean, that would put them ahead of some of those people that I've been, you know, as far as I don't believe Taurus has that option on any of their 9s, do they?
Actually, no, Taurus does.
Do they?
Yeah.
Am I missing? Throw me out somebody that might not have taken that step yet in the.
Actually, almost all mainline firearm manufacturers.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay, so High Point's just late to the game.
They're late to the game. I mean, they had their lane. Well, they have their lane. Mm-hmm. They're the low cost firearm market.
King of the low cost.
The king of the low cost of the firearm market.
I want to underline king. It's the best of the low cost.
Yep. And you know, there again, we get hit for being, they keep calling us high point haters. That is not the case. We don't hate high points. We just want to make sure that people understand that, you get what you pay for ultimately. We'll go into high point, maybe we'll do a real deep dive into high points. I've done some prior videos on them. There's reasons why they're, okay, I'm going to say it again, and we're going to get more hate mail. There's reasons why they're not as good as a lot of other pistols.
I'm open to changing my mostly negative feelings about high point. Just what you've told me already is opening a door for me to choose another scapegoat. You know what I'm saying? If they're doing that, if they're coming to the table now with market required functions and specifications and bells and whistles, kudos to them. They're making the steps necessary.
Yep.
To play with the big boys.
They are, and the reality of what's happened is they were always the low-cost option. Well, the other manufacturers, they've been able to drive prices down and down and down to where now you have some competitors where you can buy a pistol with more features and it doesn't cost that much more.
Right.
So that's going to be the trick. I'm be real curious to see what the new high point. If that's what this announcement is. I'm kind of hoping, because I'd like to get my hands on one.
It's an educated guess. You're in the know. You've got contacts.
So yeah,
There's
hopefully,
a good chance.
yeah, hopefully, we'll see. The fact that they released their 10 millimeter and it has a lot of the styling of the new YC9, so that means they're putting some of this stuff in production. So it's only a matter of time. And I understand retooling. They already have a product that sells a lot, sells well. So replacing that with another product, that would be difficult, and there's some cost to that. So I understand why there's been some reluctance on their part to really move forward with it. But the thing that I'll be really interested in, though, is to see what is their price going to be. Because
they still need to be enough below.
They still need to be below, because it's still a blowback operated pistol. They're still going to be heavier than the competition because of that. And there again, once again, for people who don't know, a blowback operated firearm uses the weight of the slide to counteract the energy of the bullet going out. So the barrel and the slide are not locked together. So to make sure that it doesn't have a catastrophic blowout, which can be, it could kill you, if it uses the weight of the slide to slow that process down so the chamber pressures can drop before the chamber opens to eject the empty case.
And what's the alternative?
Most other 9mm pistols, the barrel locks to the slide, and as the slide they're recoil operated, so as the slide recoils back, then it unlocks. But that whole process it's milliseconds, and it allows the chamber pressures to drop. With a blowback operated, it's just the weight of the slide that's there, and so it's got to be heavier. And that's always been one of the big issues with the high points, is they're heavy. But I'm intrigued by the prototypes of the YC9 that I've seen. So I'll be real curious to see if the big announcement is that they're finally going into production. And I can't wait to get my hands on one, just to try it out.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
So we'll see. Fingers crossed. I mean, there's going to be a lot of neat stuff coming up. We'll be doing a whole episode of just talking about the new firearms being announced, and not really released at SHOT Show, but the announcements are released around SHOT Show. And
all the secrets people
all the secrets that people have been guessing about. Yep.
3-4 months. So good.
I think that's probably going to be it for this episode of Random Shots. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this kind of content, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be notified when we release new content. We appreciate your comments.
Yes.
So
Send
good or
comments.
bad, and we actually, I hate to say this, we enjoy the bad comments too.
They're fun.
They're fun. Sometimes they might make us think, and maybe we need to rethink things or not. But feel free to comment. If you have any any topics that you would like us to cover or discuss, please let us know. Doesn't matter what it is. Well, some of them I don't know. Well, we just did.
Well, I just did this.
We just did this list, so yeah, just let us know. If you like the programming, the content we create, please share us. It helps the channel grow. And so, do you have any other comments? Or?
Thank you for tuning in. We're out.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Until next time, stay safe.